And good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to HinduLounge. This is HinduLounge. HinduLounge is brought to you by HinduPact. HinduPact is the policy research and advocacy collective, an initiative of World Council of America. HinduLounge comes live every Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific, and we talk about contemporary American Hindu issues. With joining me, as always, is Utsada. Utsada is Utsav Chakrabarti. Utsada, welcome to HinduLounge. And Utsada is the executive director of HinduPact. Utsada, today we are going to talk about acts of courage exhibited by Hindus in America. So, taking the advocacy to a new level. Um, we are going to talk about two such acts. One is with a former congressional candidate, Manga Anantatmula, and she was very courageous, and she went and confronted the Pakistani ambassador. And we are also going to talk about the Hindu community in New Jersey that stood up to the onslaught of many Islamist organizations against the program by Sadhvi Ritambhara ji. So with that, I turn it over to you. Tell us about a little bit about uh, I know Mangaji is going to join us, but before she joins, just an opportunity for me to welcome you, and I hope you had a good weekend last week on Labor Day, and you enjoyed time at the beach.
As you may be realizing with my voice is actually not doing that well, Ajay bhai. So I did not have that good of a week in terms of my health. I had a little cough, cold, and the not the thing that people think. All my family got tested, and we are good on not having COVID. So, but there are other things in this world that continue to inflict on us, and we had a little bit of cold and fever, so that wasn't that easy a week. But in terms of news, we had a pretty good week. As you noted, Manga Anantamula from Washington DC area, a very well-known Hindu activist and political candidate, uh, and a soldier mom. Her son is a commander in the US Navy. She did a great job, and you can play this video very soon, Ajay bhai. But she did a
Yes.
fantastic job in terms of representing the voice of the Hindu communities from around the world in front of the ambassador of Pakistan. And if you see the video, I was astonished to see the video when it came out. So it was very impressive, and I'm very impressed with what Mangaji was able to pull out. So whenever you get a chance, Ajay bhai, please play the video.
I
And
would, but before that, for people who are probably new to this whole thing, and by the way, so that you're still your cheerful self, even though your voice may be a little inflicted, but everything else is good. Your intellect is still sharp, and everything else. So and no after effect of your cold.
no
So
after effect on my intellect.
on your intellect either. Hey, so that let me for people who don't know what is Chingari, why don't we do a little introduction? I think we are going to have the coordination, the our lead director for the Chingari program join us as well. But in the meantime, I mean, let's just introduce the Chingari project. The Chingari stands for Coalition for the Hindu Girls who are abducted and their rights. So that's what Chingari is. As many people know, almost 1,000 girls, so more than three a day, almost three a day, Hindu girls and some Christians are abducted in Pakistan. These girls are between the ages of 10, 11 to 17, 18, 19-year old. They're abducted on their way to school. Some of them have been abducted from their own homes, and they're converted forcibly and married off to married off to men who are 3 to 4 times their age, and that is, this is the plight of the Hindu minority in Pakistan. Just last month, 157 minority girls were abducted in the same fashion. And not only that, and we probably share some of this towards the end of the show. Even in the flood, the situation of flood that Pakistan is facing, uh, just you know the Hindu girls were lured for the food ration for people who they knew, and instead of giving them food, these girls were abducted, raped, and brutalized. So this is the so we decided a year and a half ago to take this on, and we created this Chingari project. Again, Chingari being Coalition for the Hindu Girls Abducted and Their Rights. We 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 started this. We launched this project. We have done several activities related to this project, and then this month, September, we are observing as the Chingari Educational Month. With that brief introduction to the project, and we'll show you some of the visuals of the girls and the pictures and some videos and all that as time goes on. But I would like to invite our special guest today, Manga Anantatmula ji, and she is so Manga is here today joining us. She did a really courageous act of confronting the ambassador, uh, Pakistani ambassador to the U.S. Uh, and his name is Masood Khan, at a press conference. So with that, first I'd like to invite Mangaji, and then give a brief introduction, um, and then show the
So
video.
before we invite Mangaji to speak about this particular event, this particular incident, and this this has gone viral. I was looking at Chingari's Twitter account, and thousands of people around the world are retweeting and liking the tweet of the video. Before we go and do that, let's ask Mangaji to talk about herself, because Mangaji is not the
Right.
average American woman in America.
Yep.
She's so and I think nobody can do justice to what she does than herself. So I think I would like Mangaji to first, let's bring her on the screen.
Yeah, bring her on. What I was going to do is actually read her bio. I have prepared a brief bio from her
Okay.
website,
So
Manga for
I didn't want to
Congress.
take it away from you.
But
Please go ahead
I,
and
I
read the
would like
bio.
rather her talk about it. So welcome, Manga. Welcome to the show.
So please,
Oops.
yeah,
So that we are both clicking the same button, I think. Okay,
yes.
here we go.
Namaskar.
Okay,
Thanks
thanks
for
for
having
joining.
me on your show. And this is really a great morning to get in uh, touch with all of you. I have only heard one time from about Utsav ji about Chingari just the last weekend, and I said I'll be. I mean, your cause is so noble and so close to our everybody's hearts. I'm honored this with you, and whatever that takes for me to give my little contribution, like the little squirrel for Rama, I will definitely do it. And that's why I got on board. And thanks for having me on this show
Thank
today.
you. Thank you for joining. It was an act of courage. We admire you. We appreciate what you have done. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that when we first started Hindu Lounge, you were running for Congress, and you dialed in and you talked to us for a little while. But that was a while ago. So I was actually going to read some things from your. You still have a site of Manga for Congress. I was going to read from that, but Utsada made a really good point that you can articulate it better than me reading from your website. So tell us about yourself. Tell us where you are from India. Where did you grow up? When did you come to US? And how did you get interested in politics?
I mean, I came here as a student spouse with my toddler son. I think it was in early 90, maybe 90 or 91. Around that time period, we came here as students, and we had our own share of struggles getting settled in this country because we came as a student and as a family. So there were a lot of sacrifices, and we wanted to have a better life in this country. And my husband wanted to get his PhD. So our American dream, like anybody else, brought us to this country. And those were the times, I think, for the first 3.5 years. Coming from a very rich family, very comfortable family, and my husband had a very good job and everything. I have seen what poverty can be, and I haven't even eaten even one full meal a day for 3.5 years. And I used to just eat one small bite of food just to keep me alive so that I can feed my son better for 3.5 years. And I think for the first time, I've seen what hunger cramps are for the first time in my life. And I realized, oh my God, there are so many people, poor people around that must be suffering, which I've never experienced. And I've even contemplated on committing suicide 2, 3 times from the third floor of my apartment because I couldn't take that hunger. But I think God has given me a good sense to realize in the right moment that my husband may get a second wife, but my son will never get a second mother. So I decided this is the path that God has put me on, and I chose it, and I have to walk this path. And from there going forward, my life has turned, it is never about me. That was the first time I ever thought selflessly how to put myself on the back seat. Of course, I did it for my son, but I mean, it wasn't an easy thing because I was only in my mid-20s. And from there on, we had a very good life. We settled down very well, and we bought a house. We are like any other immigrant family. We always wanted to be on the backseat, always afraid. As long as I got my paycheck, my table had food for my family to eat, and I was only living in my own worldly life, my job, my family, my friends. In 2014, when I was in Japan, I was working in a Marine Corps Air Station base, and I was living by myself. So I just wanted to learn a lot more about Hinduism and
What
Hindu
were you doing in the?
spiritual.
What were you doing in the Marines?
Oh, I was an acquisition subject matter expert, program manager.
Okay.
I was managing $4.9 billion
Hmm.
project of rebuilding the base. So that was the job I was doing there. And acquisitions is not a easy place to be. And
Right.
I've always had tough competition being a brown woman because I think my entire career, other than the last 2 years, I was basically the only Indian in among all the white and other ethnic groups, and I still never step back to say I'm any inferior to other people. I am here for a skill. They have hired me because I have the same special skill as others. So I am no less than other people. So I always have that, develop that mentality and grow into that American culture. And when I was just surfing, as I said, about Hinduism, that I wanted to learn more, philosophy and other things that I have never touched upon, other than a few things that I already knew. I kind of bumped into the annual report of USCIRF, that is United States Commission for International Religious Freedom. That's where I think my life as activist has started. And I got so very curious, and I opened that link and I opened that document, and I was more curious to read about what that report was about India. So when I read that description, the summary of what they wrote about India and Hindus, and how we were made to look as killers and extremists, and almost they sounded, we Hindus in India are terrorists. and India is a terrorist nation. I just simply could not take it. Although I already had my American citizenship and I was an American by then, India is my mother country. That's my roots, and that's where I belong. I came from. And reading such atrocious reports about India by USCIRF did not convince me that I have to keep quiet and only take care of my family, my paycheck, and other things. I decided to fight. I started writing several emails and letters to USCIRF, the commissioner. And then I realized that the commissioner of Hindus is a gentleman from Pakistan, a Muslim. And that was a turn off point for me. How can a Pakistani Muslim can represent Hindus? That's a wrong narrative. And there it goes. I did not have to tell myself or convince myself this is wrong. Immediately jumped into, for 1 year from Japan, I was writing letters, I was writing emails, I was trying to reach them, and everything went into the black hole. Then after a year, I decided I'm coming back and I'm going to become a full-time activist. So my effort started gathering people. I realized writing letters and emails are all going in black hole, and one woman army is just simply not enough. I need to create and raise awareness. So I started gathering few people around me and educating them, having them read the narration that people put out, USCIRF put out about India and Hindus, and started converting. And today, look at us. We are hundreds and thousands of army that we are courageously standing for ourselves to change the wrong narrative of Hindus. I think this is a wave and a movement that we are now into, and we need to keep this momentum. And after 2014, I started my activism around in 2015 again. There was another organization called AACE, that is Asian American Coalition for Education. They were fighting for the discrimination of Asian students in Ivy League schools and other colleges. I did not believe that this country was discriminating us. I asked them to provide all the information that they had, so that if it is truly a discrimination against us, I would definitely join them. And after spending 4 months of extensive research and reading material, I decided there was discrimination, and I joined that organization as a board of director. And since then, I've never looked back. And there were several other minority groups from Pakistan and minority Christians started approaching me to become their voice for persecution of minorities in different countries. I decided, okay, if I'm doing this, I thought Hindus were the only ones that are being victimized. There are others that are also being victimized in other parts of the world. I said, then this is gross injustice, and nobody cares about these minorities that are being persecuted. We are becoming the victim. We are the victims, and we are made to be the
Mangaji,
villains. I decided to fight, and from there on, then after my activism for so many years, I realized power is what that shifts the way people think and our own narrative. I decided I had to go into politics.
So when you ran for Congress, did some of these issues, did they get traction with the people, and how did you? What was your when you presented some of these issues related to human rights, the persecution of minorities in other countries, along with, of course, local issues that you're very passionate about? I've seen that, I've read about it. But when you talk to people about some of these issues of, in faraway countries, uh, did it get traction? Did people sympathize with it? What was the reaction of the people?
Well, there were times that people sympathized and realized that they have to come on board, but there were more occasions that people were shying away. They were afraid to use the word discrimination. They were afraid to use the word Hindu phobia. I said, people are talking all the time about Islamophobia. I even started the word Hindu phobia back in 2015, saying that no Hindu phobia. I said, how would you say that? And people started running away from me because I was using the word Hindu phobia and also discrimination of Asians. So even though in their hearts they knew it was right, but people were afraid. Now more people are willing to give up on their fear. I think it is the fear factor that holds us all back. And I request every listener and viewer of this show, there is nothing to fear. We have our religious freedom. If we didn't have a religious freedom, there would not have been USCIRF.
Right.
Okay?
So,
And why do we not exercise? That's our First Amendment right. And our freedom of speech, that's our First Amendment right. We must exercise our constitutional rights. And I did get traction. I think Senator Ted Cruz was the first one who sowed the seed. I must go into politics, and I become the strong voice for Hindus. When I met him at Howdy Modi event, in fact, he walked up to me while I was talking to some women. Are you that same woman who were talking to those to the other women? I said yes, sir. And when I turned, it was Senator Ted Cruz. Then he convinced me that I must go into politics. And when he came to know that I am living in Jerry Connolly's district in Virginia, he said, you have more than the reason to go into
yeah,
politics
no,
and
no,
fight. He said,
absolutely.
you must.
Mangaji, coming back to the the persecution of the minorities in countries where Hindus are minority, especially in countries like Pakistan, like Bangladesh, and today we are specifically focusing on Pakistan. When you first read about Chingari, and we just at the beginning of the show we talked a little bit about Chingari, and we said that this is we started this a couple of years ago, and this is a coalition formed for to protect the rights of these little girls who have been abducted and who have been forcibly converted and married off. 3 a day, 3 a day. That is something that nobody knows about. There's no awareness of it, because it's so normalized that nobody even thinks about it. But if you look at it from individual perspective, just imagine someone has left their 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old daughter at home, gone to work. They come back and the child is gone. Not gone for
They're
some time,
abducted.
but gone forever,
Yeah,
right? Because this girl will now never see her parents.
right.
So when you read about this, I want to know what was your first raw reaction to that? Not the politics part of it, not the, at a personal level. Did it impact you at a personal level? And if it did, how did it impact you?
Absolutely. It must impact each and every one of us. Just because that abducted girls and women are not your own blood doesn't mean we turn a deaf ear and we close our eyes. It really moved my heart. I mean, I've looked at every organization and people that try to bring these issues to surface and educate people and keeps the courage to fight. I mean, I'm very happy that I learned about Chingari, that they are trying to help these abducted girls and women and bring Pakistan to justice. And we must never, ever lie down over atrocities toward our own children. They may not be my children, but they are my own community. They are women that need to be dealt with and given some dignity. I mean, it is the violation of a woman's dignity. And how could we not fight against it.
No,
And the way you came across as Chingari as a project, I said, I am with anybody who would fight against this. And I was glad it was happening in my own district and in the area that I am living in. I mean, when Woodsub Seeds told me, I said, I'm on board. Needless to ask, put me on board. I am there for Chingari to
so
support in
Mangaji, let
any
me
way
ask
I
you
can.
this. Let me ask you a follow-on question, right? So, when you see this, see the website, you read about all the incidents of abductions, and you read about the plight of these girls, and then you realize that USCIRF is silent on this. There's an organization with the name Hindus for Human Rights, with the name, with the word human rights embedded in their name, absolutely quiet on this. What is your what do you think about that? That here are the organizations that tout their human rights credentials, but when it really comes to real human rights, they absolutely go silent.
Absolutely. You raised two great points right there. He said, how did USCIRF not see this or can turn a blind eye? For example, when I did my own research and talked to some of the folks, I discovered that USCIRF was denied visa into India to do their research or talk to people. Indian government has denied visa multiple times to US CIRF officials. Then how did they get those facts that they think they are facts, which are not facts? Where did they get that information from? Was my first question. Then I wrote a letter to the then sitting the commissioner. If you were denied visa to go to India to see what's happening on ground, on what basis, and how did you come about with this kind of a narrative about India and what's happening to other minorities in India? I need an answer. I think everything goes into black hole when you question the power. And that went into, I think kind of made a dent. I said, you are not, and then I started writing to the directors of the organization USCIRF that we will not accept a Pakistani Muslim to be representing Hindus. And I think around 2017 or 18, then they changed and put an Indian lady called some Bhargava. Uh, Although she has the Hindu name, she never ever represented Hindus either. And I have heard about the Hindus for Human Rights organization too. I am
Yeah,
sure I must have even contacted them. Now, nobody returns the calls. None of these organizations has ever paid any attention or given credentials to the real plight of Hindus in Pakistan.
so
I
Mangaji,
started tweeting. I started tweeting in my Twitter, and I'm glad Chingari has come forward to formally act on things and not behind the screen.
absolutely. Mangaji, I want to show the video, and hopefully this will play. Otherwise, I have to show it through YouTube, and I have to request it so that to do it. But let me see if I can play this video. This is you at the press event for Pakistani ambassador Masood Khan, and you talking to him. Uh, let's see if I can. If this, let me know if the sound comes through.
No, okay.
Is the audio okay? Was the audio okay on this?
Let us see if the audio is still coming.
Okay.
The audio is a little very low, Ajay bhai. If you can increase the volume.
This was the most I could get. Do you want to play from? I also have it on YouTube, and we can play it through YouTube. If so, that you want to play the video?
Uh, Let me open YouTube, or you can try
Yeah,
again.
while you open the YouTube, let me introduce Dipti Mahajan ji. Dipti ji, welcome to Hindu Lounge. Dipti ji, your video is off, but we want to welcome you. So Dipti Mahajan ji is the director of the Chingari project. Very dedicated worker, very hardworking, and she understands the issues very deeply. And she has worked in the community, across the country on raising the awareness of let me minimize this for a second so can people can see Dipti ji here. So and she had to get up early. She was at an event last night till very late, and she's on West Coast, so she had to wake up very early in the morning to join this show. So I thank you very much, Dipti ji. And while Ustoda brings up the video, please tell us a little bit about Chingari as a project itself, while I show the Chingari website a little bit. So tell us how about Chingari and how you got involved.
Namaste, Ajiji. Namaste, Mangaji. Good
Namaste.
morning, everyone. So, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I got involved with Chingari almost a couple of years ago. And this is a very non-political agenda or issue for me because it hits your heart. It hits you in the gut, in the right place. Like whenever you hear something about an issue which is connects to your umbilical cord, that it's that hard hitting. So Chingari is it stands for, of course, I'll say, Coalition of Hindu Girls Abducted and Their Rights. And we realized that this is an issue which is not out there. Not many people know about Pakistani Hindus and the girls that are suffering a lot in that country. From when we all know the statistics, from large percentage of Hindus in Pakistan, they're down to barely 1.9% today. And there are girls, little girls, between the age of 10 to 16 or 17, where we do Kanya Puja in our house. And when we realize that these small little girls are taken away from their own houses, they are taken away from their parents, like that your girl is right next door, abducted. She will either be gang raped, sold, married off, converted, and the parents are crying sitting outside the homes. Those heart-wrenching videos, those heart-wrenching stories are something which should hit hard every human being on this planet. We talk about so many genocide. This is a genocide that is happening right now. This is an inhuman thing that is happening to little girls somewhere in the world, in this century, in this time of internet. It is happening to these girls and these parents right now, and people don't know about it. So this is an issue that we realized at Hindu Pact, that we need to raise a voice. We need to make sure that these girls are heard, their parents are heard, and we need to take it out to a larger audience across the globe. So we started it small, and it has snowballed that now we have a Chingari team in Australia. We are working with people in Canada, Kenya, UK, and trying to get other countries, Hindus and other organizations associated with this issue. So I'm gonna let Utsavji play the video, and then
Yeah,
we can.
let me bring Utsaji's video online. Utsada, go ahead. And there is no sound, Utsada, but um, okay. While Utsada brings this up, I let me go to Mangaji one more time. And Mangaji, tell us, what was it like? And we'll see the video in a second. But what was it like meeting with, meeting with the ambassador? Oh, here we go again. Sorry. Go ahead. Utsada, go ahead. I still have no sound, Utsada, from you. Or a very low sound, one of the two.
Do you hear the sound?
Not very good. All garbled. So if you don't mind, I can go back to my share. Yeah, okay. No, sir, the sound is not very good. Do you want me to play?
See, see.
And I'm representing the armed forces women of the United States whose soldiers and their sons have been killed due to Taliban. Would you please? No, sir. I'm for human rights of women. I'm absolute 100% American, sir, and I'm representing all women whose human rights are violated. Thank you, sir. I would appreciate if you can help these women and protect these women. Thank you, sir.
That's incredible. So, what did you, Mangaji, tell us how it felt? What was the reaction of the ambassador? Was he shocked? Was he surprised? What was his reaction?
The beginning, I think when I held the poster, he became curious. You can see him few moments looking at the poster. So then his face became a little serious, and then when I started, and he walked up to me and he asked me if I was a Pakistani. If I said, would it have made any difference? Why the question if I was a Pakistani? Answer the question if I was a Pakistani. I'd rather say I am representing the women's rights whose dignity rights are violated. And that's the strong message I wanted to give him. Are you an American? I said
Mangaji,
yes, I'm
your connection
100%.
is very, your connection, your voice is breaking up. Your voice is breaking up. Your connection seems like very low. We can see that it has only a single bar here. So for some reason, I think your two logins to begin with, maybe we should switch to the other login because the sound quality is not very good.
So should I log back again?
I actually let me we are towards the end, so maybe you're logged in twice. Maybe try one more time. Let's see if we can do this.
Mangaji, say that again. I think this time the sound is better.
Yeah.
Mangaji, we can see you here now. Say that again.
I think we dropped. Mangaji just dropped, which is Dipti ji, do you have any? Oh, Mangaji is back, so let's hear from her. Okay, Mangaji, go ahead. It seems much better now.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, he insisted if I was a Pakistani. I think that's the first mouth. Would it have made a difference if I was a Pakistani? Would he have reacted Pakistani? It's not about being a Pakistani. It's about the violation of human rights of women that we are talking about. So I insist I'm only representing the women that are violated, and I am there to represent even the United States forces whose soldiers are
Mangaji,
killed.
your audio is not
And
coming
what
too well. Sorry, your audio is not coming too well, unfortunately. It's very halting, but we got the general idea of what you're trying to say. Maybe we can record and put your message again on the website for people who want to hear more. Dipti ji, one final comment from you. What are the other activities that are planned for Chingari this year. And Mangaji, I'm so sorry that your audio just at
No
the right
problem.
minute broke up, and I feel very bad about it. Diptiji, what are the other programs that are planned for September?
So, yeah, there are things that we have lined up, and we need a much wider audience and reach. So, what we have done is we have organized a global Chingari vigil where we are going to protest all across major cities of United States and Canada, and we are planning something in 40 cities across UK and also in Australia. So this needs to go global, and people need to come out, and we are working on that right now. So we have declared, or we are asking September to be recognized as an education and awareness month for Chingari, so that we can have a global outcry against this human rights issue.
Okay. That is great. So we are planning in multiple cities across US and the world, right? We have got several countries lined up this year, like Australia, UK. We've also got a dozen cities in America. Um, and I think we want to thank Mangaji for kicking the event off with a big splash.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you.
Okay.
you. I'm glad I was able to do it.
Thank you both very much for joining. I know Diptiji, you have been very busy and you still found time to join us. And Mangaji, thank you again because this was what you did was definitely an act of courage to stand up to the ambassador actually a fairly well-known political figure in Pakistan. Uh, you know,
I
uh,
just wanted to say something more, Ajay bhai,
yeah, please, Nitsada, we're
before we
waiting for
end
you.
on this topic. Yes. So one thing that everybody needs to understand is that it is not easy for somebody to go and speak to power and to understand what Masood Khan represents. Masood Khan has been, he's an extremely powerful guy in Pakistan to the
Yeah.
point that he's sometimes more powerful than the government officials, including the prime minister himself. He has been in multiple roles. It tells us many things about him. Number one, Masood Khan was the quote unquote prime minister
Prime
of the
Minister.
Azad Kashmir, or at that as they call it, which is Pakistani occupied Jammu and Kashmir. So he moves back and forth between calling himself a Pakistani and calling himself a Kashmiri, which points to one thing, that he is a deep state agency person in Pakistan and is not a politician. He represents the army in Pakistan, and therefore he can switch roles wherever and whenever he wants. And that's why when he's in the ambassador's role in America, you have to understand that he's not here as a diplomat. He's here as a representative of the Pakistani army. And that is why for Mangaji to be able to speak so conveniently and so easily to power, and if you see the video, you will see that he really jumped off the stage and walked menacingly towards Mangaji. And that body language is very telling. A
Yeah,
lot of people,
he's trying to intimidate Mangaji.
he really was trying to
Yes.
intimidate Mangaji. And so for Mangaji to continue speaking after that, and that too politely, she did not get angry. And that is worth
A
really
lot of
noting.
you kept a
A
lot
lot
of
of
composure there.
correct.
Absolutely.
So, before we end this topic, I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank Mangaji. And I think, as Deepti said, that the Chingari team, Deepti ji, and all the girls and the women who are working on this, they declared September as awareness month for the Pakistani Hindu girl. And there could not have been a better start to this, thanks to Mangaji and Deepti ji. Now, the baton is on all of us around America to take this awareness on to the next level.
So before
Yes.
we end this, Diptiji, I would like, and Mangaji, I would like both of you, I would like to request both of you to make a request for Chingari fundraising. Because Chingari is a project where we have student interns working on it. We strive to get someone full-time working on Chingari. So this is a project that requires some funds. So would you please make an appeal for donations for Chingari?
Deepti ji, you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Go ahead, Mangaji.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Dipti. Either way. Okay.
a humble request to everyone who is listening to this program that we need help on this human right issue. We need help to save these girls. It does not take a lot, but every penny counts. And we need all your support. So please donate towards the Chingari issue so that we can work for these girls out there who need our help.
Okay, and Mangaji.
And please, Darshak viewers, please donate to Chingari. This is a great our girls and women. This is a disgrace if we suffering of these women and girls. They are your own umbilical, are your own blood and ethnic background. Think of them as your mother. Think of them as think of them as your child. Think of them as your own your own umbilical cord. I think that is so powerful.
Thank you. Thank you, Mangaji. Sorry, we
Out
lost your
and
audio
say,
again.
please donate. This is the project support.
Thank you, Mangaji. Thank you,
Thank you
Diptiji
so
and
much. And
Mangaji,
the
for
link is down
joining.
there. And the
We
link is
cannot
down in the scroll below. People can go to hindupact.org/donate.
donate.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you again, and both of you. Namaste. And with that, I would like to invite Jayantibai Patel. Jayantibai Patel is from New Jersey. Jayantibai, you are online now. If you can hear me, so Jayantibai Patel is from New Jersey, as I mentioned, and Jayantibai Patel was one of the key organizers for the event that was hosted in New Jersey, or still being hosted in New Jersey, for Sadhvi Ritambhara. Now, a little bit about Sadhvi Ritambhara. She is a humanitarian. She vocally advocated for a mandir to be built at the Ram Janmabhoomi site. And in the 90s, she was active in Durga Vahini. This was an organization that led women um, to ask that the monument of slavery that was the Babri structure be replaced by the original structure that stood at the time, which was Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Mandir. It had stood there for thousands of years, and till Babur came and demolished it. Since after that, Sadhviji went into politics, and she was a minister in various governments at the state and the national level. And after that, uh, Sadhviji took time off from politics, and then she became a humanitarian. She runs orphanages. She runs other activities that benefit women's health, that benefit children, and you know she has been doing this humanitarian work now for decades. When Sadhviji came to US, um, and she gave a talk about 10 years ago, uh, some of the Islamist organizations in America deplatformed her from a mandir. And eventually the mandir came and apologized. Then Sadhviji has come to US many times after that. Every time she comes here, there's a protest against her. This year, at a private mall in Atlanta, when this event was taking place, um, Sadhviji was they again in the eye of the storm, and people tried to deplatform her, and it didn't work. The attendance was multifold increased. Bigger, and so really, every time an attempt has been made to deplatform her, her following has grown stronger and stronger. This time in New Jersey, there were several events, and one of the events was at a local church. And when the Islamist organizations found out that there's an event happening at a local church, it was called the Ridgewood Church. And at the Ridgewood Church, they were in Old Paramus Reformed Church in Ridgewood. That's the formal name of the church. So in a town called the Old Paramus Reformed Church in Ridgewood, the Islamists reached out to the church management, and at the last minute, they forced them to deplatform and Sadhvi ji withdraw the space. Now I invite Jayanti Bhai Patel. Jayanti Bhai, your video is not showing, so if you don't mind, please turn on your video and tell us a little bit about tell us a little bit about your experience with Sadhvi ji. How did you get in touch with her? How do you know her? And how did you decide to host her event in New Jersey? Uh, Jayanti Bhai? Jayanti bhai, we cannot see you and we cannot hear you. Jayanti bhai, maybe you want to log out and log back in again while we continue some of the other parts of the show. Utsada, are you there? Because I don't see you online
I'm
either.
here. I'm here. I didn't want to clutter the screen with too many faces, so I
No, no,
just
that's
switched the
fine.
camera.
That's fine. Too many is good. So Jayanti bhai was online. I think he's going to log back in. But Utsada, tell me a little bit about this whole idea of like, people going after a Hindu mandir and deplatforming someone, people going after a private mall, people going after a church. And I see Jayanti Bhai up, so maybe we could just have Jayanti Bhai talk about it. Jayanti Bhai, please go ahead.
Unfortunately,
Jayanti Bhai, no audio.
we were just
Jayanti Bhai,
okay.
audio is not very clear.
Car right now. We went to see the Didi right home. We're gonna be about 7 o'clock right now. If it is possible,
Jayanti Bhai, we cannot
to
hear.
hear me.
Jayanti Bhai, sorry, we cannot hear you. The audio is very broken.
I'm here for this is because maybe I'm in the car.
Yeah, that's possible, Jayanti Bhai.
This is no.
Yeah, Jayanti Bhai, the audio.
See, 1 second.
Yeah, please take your time. Okay. Yeah.
Hello.
Sorry,
Hello. Are you just
yeah, your audio is not coming very well, so it's very difficult to hear.
Can
No,
you
not
give
at
me
all.
another 7, 8 minutes?
What we'll do is, Jayanti bhai, we will record this later on at some other time because our show ends at noon. So we'll do this other time.
I can hear you, but you cannot hear me. That
No, you're breaking up. So we'll have to record and play it some other time.
all right.
Okay?
Call me back.
Okay.
I'll call record you again.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm in the
No, that's okay.
car. Okay.
Okay. Namaste. Thank
you.
you.
Namaste. Namaste, bhai. Namaste.
So, so the bottom line is, where do Hindus go if they're getting deplatformed? So, what is next? Their homes next, or what is next here?
So, Ajay bhai, this is important to understand, and you brought this up during the conversation. To deplatform somebody like Sadhvi, who is actually here to collect funds for orphans, young girl orphans who she supports and who she helps grow with a family. And for these Islamist organizations and the proxies, there are Hindus who are working for proxies of these Islamist organizations, for them to go around the country targeting these orphanages, of targeting the events that are fundraising events for these orphanages, tells us one thing very clearly, that they go for scorched earth policy when it comes to Hindus. Anything and everything that Hindus do that can bring solace to the Hindu society, that can provide support and self-respect to young Hindus anywhere in the world, they will come after it. Because I'll tell you the reason why they come after it. Because only when Hindus are deracinated, deplatformed, and do not have any power, that's when these Islamists and their cohorts, who are some of whom are Hindus, uh, that's when they have power. So their power comes from the disempowerment and the destitution of Hindus. That has been the historic narrative, and that continues to be their narrative. So whenever Hindus try to build up their society, try to remove poverty, try to support those who are the weakest within the Hindu society, they will come after the Hindus and they will deplatform them, because they know that if Hindus unite, if Hindus rise as a society around the world, and if Hindu civilization regains back its self confidence, then they don't have a place in this society. This is the larger picture I wanted to explain,
Yeah.
to understand, for people to understand why Sadhvi Ritambhara was deplatformed in New Jersey, and why every attempt is made around different cities in America to not allow her to do fundraise. It has nothing to do with just who Sadhvi Ritambhara is. It has everything to do with the desire of these Islamists not to let the Hindu society stand up again.
Yeah, I mean, this is no different than pulling someone down and their perceived background in terms of so-called quote unquote
No,
caste,
no,
or
no, no.
bringing
So
something
no, no.
down in terms of
Sadhviji's position, even if you consider her political background, that these people say, okay, it's no, this is not about our orphanage. We are against the political position she took in the 1990s and the 80s. Well, the Supreme Court of India, which by no means is a
yeah,
biased body towards, it's more independent than the American judiciary system. The Supreme Court of India actually acknowledged Sadhvi Ritambhara's position after 20 years after she took that position.
yeah.
So, that also bothers these people, and that's why these people don't
Yeah,
want to talk.
and look, I would say one thing: the attacks are coming from people whose organizations and leaders have past association with students' Islamic movement in India, an acknowledged banned terrorist outfit. These are the people who
And
eventually,
ironically, I'm saying this on September 11, many of them actually defended Osama bin Laden.
well, they took out marches. Not just they
Correct,
defended
correct.
Osama
And
bin
they still
Laden,
take out
they took
marches
out
in support of,
marches.
they
Yeah,
still take out marches in support of Afia Siddiqui, who is in prison, who was arrested
exactly.
right after September 11
And then
for supporting Osama.
she's sitting in Texas
Yeah.
in a
And these
prison in
very
Texas.
organizations take out rallies in support of a September 11 related convict.
Yes, and in India, the same people's cohorts in India are taking out marches. They're supporting Osama bin Laden. They're decorating the graves of convicted terrorists who have been hung. And just the news from yesterday in Mumbai, one of the Mumbai bombing, in 1993 bombing terrorist who was arrested, who was prosecuted, convicted, and given a death penalty. His grave has now been decorated to and made it like a martyr. Now these are the people who are saying that Sadhvi Ritambharaji, a humanitarian who has been now declared innocent by the Supreme Court of India, should not be able to speak at a mandir, at a mall, at a church, or at next is at a home. That is the world we live in. So that's a topsy turvy world.
It's a world of power, and
You know
these
what,
people.
Utsada, I would end by saying this one thing, that I think that this is where all Hindu organizations, all mandirs, all advocacy organizations, all social service organizations, all the humanitarian organizations, all the Hindu organizations should come together, and organizations like ACLU and other organizations that advocate, Southern Poverty Law Center, the organizations that advocate for free speech, or organizations that advocate for persecuted minorities, they all should come together and say that Sadhvi Ritambharaji has a right to give a talk anywhere she wants, where the private organizations have given her a space, rented space, and and she cannot be deplatformed by people who are politically opposed to her. That is not the America we live in, right? America stands for freedom of speech.
Correct.
So with that, Utsada, let's let's go quickly to our three final segments. The first one, so the ironic that we talk about Chingari, and here is the first one, which is the Hindu good news of the week. We are talking about how the Hindu minority has been persecuted in Pakistan. What is the response of Hindus, Utsoda? And that is the Hindu good news of the week for the day. So let me share this. Let me share this screen and get your thoughts on it. So that this comes from Op India, but this is the same news item that has been reported in many newspapers, and I'd like you to take a look at this. As we know that there are floods going on in Pakistan, and 1/3 of the country is underwater. Uh, every Hindu mandir, is under threat in Pakistan. 95 to 98% of Hindu mandirs have been decimated, destroyed. And here is one mandir in Balochistan that has opened its gates to the flood affected people in Balochistan, regardless of people's faith, regardless of what they have tried to do to the mandir. This is a temple. It's called Baba Madhodas Mandir. Baba Madhodas Mandir in Jalal Khan in Pakistan, in Balochistan. Okay, and you can see the picture where all the people who are, who are, and you can read the news item in, in Op India. Here is a picture. These are the people who are, taking a shelter in a mandir. That is the magnanimity of Hindu Dharma, right? And history of Balochistan for Hindus is, there's a lot of persecution of Hindus. A lot of Hindus have been driven out of their home since independence. Any thoughts, any comments on that, Utsada?
No, all these places and the Hindu temples there are, even though temple might have been rebuilt in the last 70, 100, 200 years, the places of worship have thousands of years of history. That is, even before Pakistan existed as a thought, Pakistan even had any Muslim in it. So the modern colonized Pakistan that you see, the modern land of Balochistan that has been colonized by Pakistan, these Hindu temples, these religious pilgrimage centers, predate them by hundreds and thousands of years. So it's important that that is kept in mind, and I'm glad that Hindu organizations around the world are trying to rebuild some of these places that have been damaged and destroyed. More importantly, Hindus in Pakistan who have been suffering, they are getting some help as well. So that's very good.
Okay, so with that, let's go to the next segment, and that is the Hindu Seva Charity Act of the Week. And here we go. And Utsada, it should not be any surprise that this week's Hindu Seva Charity Act of the Week is Chingari Project. So we want everyone to go to hindupact.org/donate and donate to Chingari Project. It is the Chingari Awareness Month and educational awareness month. And we can, you saw what Manga ji did at the press conference with Ambassador Masood Khan. And you have seen that last year we did vigils in about 12 cities around the country. This year, well over a dozen cities in America, several cities around the country, around the world rather, in Australia and UK and other countries. Chingari Project is going to spread its awareness campaign. For that, we need to get student interns, we need to have some staff and all of that. And so please go to chingari.org and donate. Click on the donate button. You can go to hindupact.org, click on the donate button. You can go to chingari.org, chingari.org, and click on the donate button. And please donate, even if it's $5 a month. $5 a month, you can just donate to Chingari Project, or $10 or whatever you can afford. Please donate money. It's a great cause. It is directly, we are trying to impact the girls, Hindu girls in Pakistan. We try to get original videos when the girls are abducted. We have people on the ground who send us videos and all of that. So all of these things require your generous support. So we request you that please do the best you can. I know that we live in difficult times, and so but whatever you can do, even if it's, as I said, $5 a month, that would go a long way. Utsada, your thoughts?
I think it's important that many people say, how will $5 a month to a project like Chingari and or to Hindu Pact make a difference? Everything is so expensive in America, but the thing is that uh, if 500 people give $5 a month, that makes a difference. And that's the reason why we in Hindu Pact we want it to be a people's movement, and Hindu Pact wants to be a project of the VHPA that attracts everybody's support in small little ways, because only when it's a people's movement, then the advocacy and the policy research, and the minds that work on the policy research becomes truly decentralized and truly democratic. So everybody should just give little bit every month, and I think $2, $5, $10, depending on where people are in their lives, and how much they want to give. It makes a lot of difference. So if you are somebody young, fresh new job, $5 a month will be enough. If you are somebody who owns a 15-bedroom house or at least has a Tesla, I would ask for $501 a month. So please go for it.
Whatever you can. All right, Utsada, and with that, the final segment of the day. And that is our segment on Hindu Phobe of the Week. Hindu Phobe of the Week, Utsada. You may not find this surprising. Some other people may, but you already probably know about this. Um, there is a event going on in India. We don't talk much about India, but this has a larger implication, right? There's an event going on in India where the opposition political party, Congress, is carrying out what is called Bharat Jodo Yatra, which means that they're just going around, going around India, uh, and on a listening tour, on a talking tour, whatever it is. We don't really care. We are not in India, and we don't care for Indian politics, but the Indian political leader Rahul Gandhi met with one of the Christian pastors, and his name is George Punia, and he was trying to understand Christianity from George Punia. Now, for those who don't know George Punia, he is a blatant Hindu hater. We actually designated him Hindu hater of the week in past, right? Utsada, if you remember, he had said that I wear slippers because otherwise Bharat Mata will pollute my feet, or some such thing, right? Now, this is a major political opposition figure who is listening to George Punia, and if the audio works out, let's see what he says. So he's saying that Jesus is real God, unlike all the Hindu gods. Okay. Now you expect that from George Punia because he is blatant Hindu hater. Rahul Gandhi, who is sitting there listening to him, who calls himself a Hindu, has nothing to say.
Calls himself a Janayudhari Hindu.
I was going to say that, but I didn't.
Yeah, I just had to make fun of him because the thing is,
So, what kind of politician
so,
who
he's
says that I'm a Hindu represents 80% of the Indian population, sits quietly when someone says that Jesus is God, not like your people, your
the
gods?
problem with Indian secularism and those like Rahul Gandhi and people in the so-called secular segment of the Indian politics. This is the problem with them. They embrace this whole idea of secularism with such a level of fanaticism that all they do with secularism is to hate Hindus and allow those that want to completely destroy Hindus to do so under their own watch because of a few hundred or a few thousand votes and a few million rupees that these people may give. So that is the debasement. One of the primary reasons I believe, besides the fact that BJP was well organized and BJP uh, is less corrupt, one of the primary reasons why people across India actually gravitated towards the BJP is because of this reason. It was not just because BJP was doing something better than the opposition was doing in terms of the good for India, but it is also because this complete and abject colonial servility that people like Rahul Gandhi and people like Mamta Banerjee or Nitish Kumar, when he is on this side of the, uh, you know, these people exhibit. And I think that bothers not just the people of India, but that also bothers government bureaucrats. Government bureaucrats, as colonialized they are themselves, even they have some level of self-respect just as a
Yes.
human being. But the fact that Rahul Gandhi has none of that and doesn't even bother to stop this guy and say, get out of this room and I never want to see you again. That should have been the response. You know,
Yeah.
and that is, I think, the
Look, I
problem.
mean, I'll tell you my personal view, right? Regardless of my own personal political views, I want to say that as a Hindu, right, and as part of a Hindu organization in America, or if I was in India, I would say that I want all political parties to be pro Hindu. I don't want to be, regardless of my own political, preferences or people I know or whatever it is, right? I would want I would want to choose between all candidates who are competing to represent Hindu views, right? I mean, I would wish that Democrats and Republicans both are pro-Hindu, so I have a good choice to make based on all the other issues because they're both fighting to get my vote based on showing that they are going to stand by, they are going to base their decisions on dharmic principles. The same way, I would hope that in India, all politicians compete with one another by saying that I am going to better represent the Hindu view. I'm going to better represent the Hindu interest. I'm going to better form my decisions based on dharmic principles. It is not about like I don't want one political party to say that because that takes away my choices. So I would like Congress and I would like Janata Dal and I would like just like and even Communist Party of India. I would like all of them to be pro-Hindu in a utopian world, right? So with that Utsada, sorry, with that Utsada, that brings us to the end of our show today. I feel so bad that Jayanti Bhai, we could not hear from him. So what we'll do is we'll record Jayanti Bhai's uh, interview separately, and then we'll put it on our website. So I feel really bad because I talked to Jayanti Bhai this morning. He articulates the subject so well, and I really wanted our listeners to see him and hear from him, but just the audio just didn't work out at all. So I don't know, Jayanti Bhai, if you're listening, I want to really, I feel very bad. We will, but we will record your at a time that is convenient for you. I know you're very busy with Didima's program. At a time that is convenient for you, we will record your interview and then we'll broadcast it to our audience or play it next week when we have the show. So with that, Utsada, Thank you very much. Again, everyone, this is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by Hindu Pact. Hindu Pact is Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective, an initiative of World Hindu Council of America or VHPA. Hindu Lounge comes live every Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific, where we talk about contemporary American Hindu issues. With that, as we bring down our show to a close, thank you, Soda, for joining. And well, you're the host, so I should not be thanking you. I should be saying that thanks for doing this every week, week in and week out. And we will now play a little bit of tune from our friends at Decibel as we close the show out. Thank you and namaste.